I'm Diane Beckstead, founder of Musicals for Change and composer of our newest show, Superhero Rescue in Hot Springs. This show was so much fun to produce, the kids loved it, and I hope that you enjoy producing it as well. I have some tricks, some tips, hacks, things that we learned while we were doing the show that may be helpful to you. Of course, every director has their own ideas, creative ideas, some that maybe we wouldn't have even thought of, that are equally valid. However, if you do need some help, we're always willing to help you out, and I hope that this video is useful to you. The director's guide also has suggestions for how to build the sets, the props, suggestions for staging and choreography as well. The food truck is certainly the most central part of our set for Superhero. It is important, but it's not absolutely necessary. If you do not have the resources to build an actual food truck or the space for one, you can certainly still do the show and suggest that truck by sound cues and staging. There are suggestions for that in the director's guide when you purchase the show that will help you produce it. It will still be very successful. But we do have detailed plans as well if you would like to build the truck. And it is certainly a surprise to the audience when it comes rolling on stage. So if you're able to do that, I'm sure that it would be a highlight of your show. Because this show takes place in the mountains, you should have a view or something to suggest that you are in the mountains. We had a backdrop that had a mountain view on it that stayed on stage the entire time. During the resort scenes, we created the illusion that you were looking out a window, a very large picture window at the mountains. And so we had valances that were hung on either side of our chandelier, so it appeared that it was a large window. There are other ways that you could do that too, and if you don't have a place for a backdrop, you could arrange different sizes of artificial Christmas trees, something to suggest that you are in the mountains. If you have the ability to hang scenery pieces, we made a chandelier to dress up our resort lobby. And it doesn't have to be anything really fancy. Ours had just a tiered rectangle with a smaller one underneath it. We put white lights on it as well. And it just was a way to indicate that this is a very upscale resort. The countertops that appear in the kitchen scene and in Tate's kitchen, and also as the check-in desk at the hotel in the resort lobby, are carts that we've used for other performances as well. They're very versatile. They have wheels on them. They're about 4 feet high, and we use both sides of them depending on what is needed. So the countertop that we used for the lobby scene, that was the check-in desk on one side, was flipped to the other side to reveal shelves in the kitchen scene. We had 2 of those carts in the kitchen scene as countertops, and each one had a solid side and an open side with a shelf, 2 shelves. And so we could put pots and pans on them, boxes, tubs of silverware for kids to polish, things that could be used in the kitchen scene, but then when flipped around to the solid side were the kitchen in Tate's house with a foam sheet on the front to make it look like kitchen counter or kitchen cabinets. And then on the other cart, the solid front, like a wooden, polished wooden cabinet for the front desk in the lobby. So they're very versatile. We actually used the bottom of a fourth cart as the base for our food truck because it already had wheels on it and it had a bottom that could be stepped onto for our students. The trickiest scene change in this show is the dining room scene. It takes a while to set up. There is piano underscore so that it sounds like you're in a fine dining establishment that you can play while you are setting up that scene. It requires 5 small tables and chairs at each table. If you can cover those tables with nice white, at least linen appearing tablecloths, some sort of centerpiece or candles or something like that. We used fabric covers on our chairs too, the way that you would see nice chairs in a wedding. Anything you can do to dress up that dining room scene so it looks like a really fine establishment is useful. But again, it is tricky to set up fast. One way that we moved more quickly was to have certain waiters set up certain tables, and they had to do things in exactly the right order, setting up the table, then the chair. Each table had a basket with table settings in it. I believe we also put the plates on the tables with double-sided tape to keep those on there so there was less to actually set on the table. But it is almost like choreographing a dance to get those tables set up quickly. So that takes a little bit of practice. The other scenes are not very lengthy. The scene changes are pretty quick, but that dining room scene is a little bit tricky. But I think it's worth it, and it's an important scene in the show. To create the illusion of a flambe, we took an ordinary frying pan, 10 or 12-inch frying pan. We used shiny gold fabric and taped one edge of it to the bottom of the frying pan. We then put a cover over the top of the pan that was flat and was the same dimension as the pan, 10-inch or 12-inch, whatever your pan is. And then you could use just a piece of foam core or heavy cardboard. And then in the center, make sure that you have a hole that's maybe 3 or 4 inches wide. And what you'll do is you can cover that as well if you want. So it's, I think we covered ours in foil, so it just looked like it was more of the frying pan. And then when it's time for that flambe to be revealed, that gold fabric is pulled up through the hole. The way we pulled it up was we put a small but strong magnet on one corner of the gold fabric. When the gold fabric was folded up underneath that cover with the magnet right in the center underneath that opening, then we had our waitress use a long stick with a magnet on the end to reach into the hole, touch the magnets together so that the wand that she was using looked like it was a long match. So it looked like she was lighting the contents of the pan. And then she pulled up quickly to reveal the gold fabric, which I think passably could be fire, especially because then Reggie yells, "Fire, fire," and everybody screams and leaves. So it's a very fast illusion. We have a sound effect, a whoosh, that goes along with that. The timing, though, is tricky. So what you need to do is have your waitress touch those two magnets together, the wand and the one that is attached to the gold fabric, and then be ready when she hears that whoosh to pull up very quickly. And then just hope that it works. You might have a better idea, but that worked for us. And it's illusion, just like so many things on stage, and it was safe. And so that would be our suggestion. When we produce a show, we always need large foam sheets from the hardware store, 4 by 8 foot sheets of insulating foam, usually a 1/2 inch thick, that we place against our wooden frames to be houses, to be our food truck, to be whatever it is that you need. It's light, it's fairly durable, it's easy to paint, it's easy to cut, particularly if you have one of those hot guns that can allow you to cut foam in different shapes. And so if you have to do a curve, it's easier than using, say, an X-Acto knife. It comes out a little bit cleaner. So those foam sheets are really very, very, very useful. And we keep them from year to year because then we just repaint them with whatever we need the following year, particularly if we're making a house and we continue to keep that shape as a large rectangle, then we can just reuse them. But they're light and fairly affordable and very useful. I hope these suggestions have been helpful to you. There are so many creative ideas. I'm always astounded by what other people come up with. So you may have many of your own wonderful ideas, but I hope that these have been helpful in case you have any questions about how we did the show. If you are a theater or a school or a church with many resources and can build the things that we built and maybe more, then that's wonderful. It will be a great production. But if you don't have those kinds of resources, this show is still very accessible. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at musicalsforchange@gmail.com or fill out a contact form on our website, musicalsforchange.com, and we'd be happy to help. So best wishes with your show. We'd be happy to know how it went. Send us pictures and have a great production. Break a leg.